Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to another amazing night.
We have a fantastic match tonight, no question about it.
Oh my god, yes!
With the barrage! Make sure they can't even follow up afterward.
And Wash is down 2 in this fight thus far. Make that 3, make that 4 right now here. Dynamic team gets a 4-man tire!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
100 gets 3 with the primal rage!
Experience tranquility.
Hello, Tranquility. Welcome to the knockout. This is a playoffs. This is a big match today. Today we have the Koala Kings, who were #1 seed coming into the playoffs. I believe Harmony Tier was a bit tied with their seeding, so there were multiple #1 seeds, but they were one of the best teams coming into this playoff bracket. They're currently now in the lower bracket, facing off against Chrysalis. Should be a good matchup today, Taya.
Definitely. This will be a interesting matchup because Chrysalis has been running this lower bracket, winning all 2 matches throughout the lower bracket. And, if they manage to somehow pull out this win against Koala Kings for today, that solidifies and, just establishes that, hey, maybe we can have a team that's going to make this really strong lower bracket run from like start to finish, right? They're not alone in that. Nemesis is also going to probably attempt the same thing. They're both started at the lower bracket and have been continuing to run it. So this is going to be an interesting match of someone running through a lower bracket and the top one of the RM bracket, dropping down to lower with an unfortunate loss last week and trying to just regain that championship bracket spot.
Yeah, they certainly will. They'll be looking to keep the run going. I know coming into the playoffs, they were very confident about what they could do and their chances to make it all the way to the grand finals. But we will see. We will see right now with our first map being Busan from the control map section. I'm always interested to see how teams match up on maps like Busan, the control maps, because in my opinion, they play very differently to all the other maps. You get very different team comps a lot of times, very different play style. There's no attack and defense, you're just rushing in, trying to meet the same point. So first fight in particular is always very interesting for me.
Oh, understandable. And I think how I would always view, I guess, like Busan as a map is that every point has you can play very different things in it. Like, I don't know, if you think about something like Nepal, you could see teams just hard running brawl and in Shrine and in Village, right? With Sanctum being that unique difference. But in Busan, you could be playing different things on different maps. Like Mecha Base, you have your brawl, and then some people run 6-man in downtown, and sometimes people run para comps in downtown, and then in Sanctuary, you can run ball comps, you can run a multitude of different things, right? So, and I think that's probably why Koala Kings is bringing Chrysalis to this map, because for those wondering, it's those with the higher seed that gets to pick the map for the match, and Koala Kings decided, hey, we're going to Busan first. This is where we're going to be bringing Chrysalis, and we'll see where we're going to start, but we are going to be starting off in downtown.
Yeah, standard 6-man, normally the favorite on this map. And as I say that, I immediately see no 6-man pick from either team off the back. So we will see maybe some interesting comps. Maybe, because 6-man is so prevalent, maybe they've been setting up some counter plays, and this is what they think counters a 6-man, and then it's going to change. But
Koala Kings was teasing us, right? They're just going to go for a 6-man at the end of the day, and Chrysalis is like, hey, no, we're going to run our standard stock brawl. This seems to be something that Chrysalis just feels more comfortable in, and Koala Kings already taking the mini pack on the room.
So yeah, and here we go into the first fight. So yeah, it is going to be Koala Kings entering with the 6-man. They do have the Reaper, so a lot of frontline pressure, and then a brawl coming out from Chrysalis is interesting. Brawl with the May play very well into this team comp, and they do have point control.
Mm-hmm.
There appears to be a pause. There seems like there might be some technical difficulties, maybe a player disconnect that obviously automatically will pause a lobby like that,
Mm-hmm.
but two very interesting team comps running out. We had the standard 6-man from Koala Kings, but then Chrysalis trying to change it up a little bit with a brawl on point. They rush straight to point. They're hoping that they can try and split this maneuverable 6-man comp off, maybe use that May wall and get some picks onto.
That's how they want to play it. Honestly, the best time probably for Step to do a May wall would have been waiting for, I guess, one of the players of Koala Kings to use a crucial cooldown, right? We're thinking of stuff like maybe Monkey had already used his jump, Diva had already used their boosters, Moira using Fade already, or not, or Reaper's trying to get out with a Wraith, right? Those are good times to use a wall, because all these other times, right? The thing about 6-man is a lot of them just have maneuverability to get out. So best time to always wall is when they're unable to get out, right? And I think personally, Chrysalis may have a slightly better comp just because of the sustain, right? Your BAP allows you to sustain more compared to Moira, where you really have to manage your resource. I think that's going to be the inherent difference between these two comps.
Oddly enough, this is probably one of the only matchups where Brawl actually has the better sustained fight. if you put a Brawl against a double shield or like a poke style comp, they tend to lose because over time you bait out the resources and then you start to take the aggression because they have to try and close space. Whereas in Brawl versus six man also wants to close space very quickly, but they have very time limited, time sensitive cooldowns. They want fights to happen really quickly. They need to have that big burst Moira healing. If Moira drains her resources before you've really engaged into a fight, your tanks are probably going to die. So Brawl can just kind of, which is exactly what Chrysalis did to start off with, just kind of sit on point. You know that's where Koala Kings eventually have to move to, and you can just try and poke them out with Mei right clicks and the Cassidy, and just try and chunk those resources away, and then eventually win the long drawn out fight, which is something that Brawl doesn't often do. But if they've practiced it, which I'm sure a team like Chrysalis have, they knew exactly where they needed to be. So it looks like they know what they're doing here.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. I think we always say that for Brawl, you really have to like be very decisive in how you move, because you need to like conserve all those resources when trying to close space. But I think six man requires even more decisiveness and like quicker, decision making and maneuverability, because they can't sustain as much. And I want to see how Koala Kings is going to end up doing this, because they've been pretty slow with the uptake, right? At least from what I've seen on the first fight, like they just casually let Chrysalis enter like the point and did nothing while they were rotating. They managed to get the mini in the room, which is like where six man usually wants to set up. But we'll see how that's going to go.
Yeah, they seem. Yeah, they certainly seem very locked into the plan that they had for the engagement. There wasn't really any scouting from the Sombra before she got to, like you said, the Mega that they wanted. They just kind of ran straight in and went, we want this bit, and then suddenly went, oh, the Chrysalis aren't here. What do we do? So we will see. Seems like, unfortunately, our technical issues with the player disconnecting are taking a little bit longer than expected to fix. So I believe we're just going to shoot on to a break, and as soon as everything's back and we're ready to go, we will be right back with some great Overwatch action. See you later. Hello everyone, right, we're straight back into this. They have just subbed Hanzuki in on support. So thank you for Koala Kings letting that happen, letting Chrysalis get a 6-man back in as they couldn't at first. So here it is. Here we see the kind of poke brawly stage, this brawl set up on point, and now the 6-man trying to get staging and an early window use. They built that so fast, this brawl team. They're just going to lock down point and knocked on this high ground with the rest of his team, just desperately looking for an engagement. And there it is, Zorfcon with the pick, and a huge EMP comes in from Nock. That should be the engagement his team needed. Now all those resources I was talking about, the brawl being able to save, they don't. Zorfcon also putting his ult into that fight. Not sure that was completely necessary, but a very quick, very clean team fight win for the Koala Kings there, actually.
Yeah, I think Chrysalis' downfall there was really just not watching that Noct was going to be building up towards that ult, that EMP. I think that was the goal of Koala Kings to begin with, just to win this, just to win point. And now they're coming in with 4 ults on the side of Koala Kings. So I'm expecting that to be popped and maybe a shatter from Chrysalis.
Yeah, there's a lot of ults available, but a hack comes out and a huge, never mind, Chrysalis winning that fight. A huge, oh my god, Ian. I'm not sure what that Cassidy just managed to pull off there. Their Rhine was hacked, Null went in and used the Death Blossom, and he still got the High Noon off and got 3 kills for his team. Chrysalis now hard engaging in the rest of this fight.
Yeah, but I don't think Chrysalis were expecting that Noct would have EMP again, because that just cancels the Zushu beats that Hanzuki had just built, and now they're just retaking the point even though they were down from the Sgt. Pepper's 3K High Noon. And it's back to the drawing board for Chrysalis, but no hope lost for them. They have 4 ults coming in. They can open up with a bomb and maybe a window, but they do have to take care of the fact that TIE Fighter also has a bomb coming in, and that primal sustain from Rocket. But
yeah, Noct is going crazy with this EMP. That High Noon just caught me so off guard. I forgot the name of it because I was trying to remember Cassidy's name. But we now see Chrysalis taking the rotation out on the coast, but an early D-Mech from Mr. Box. The shatter from Bubba, is it going to be enough? I don't think so. Does get the kill onto Rocket, though, knocked him off the map. I'm sure that was a hammer swing or a pin. I didn't quite see what knocked him off, but we'll be moving in. They have the pick now. The main tank is out. That's all of that primal going in, but a huge bomb from Ty. That might be enough to just turn the fight. That's their main tank and support down. Now Null going in on the back line. Can he get this kill? No, the Cassidy takes him out instead. Sgt. Pepper doing his job. Takes out his counterpart on the DPS, and now it's just a brawl for this fight. It is in overtime. Koala Kings, I think, should be trying to win this. They do. EMP invested into that fight, actually. They could have backed out, but they're going to just try and win it here. Last seconds, no one's going to be able to touch, so scrappy last fight and a win from Koala Kings. That's first map downtown in favor of Koala Kings.
No, Koala Kings seem to be at least be banking on not building this EMP very quickly for them in those fights, because all the times that they've managed to just retake point or win point even when all hope is lost, it just comes back with not building those EMPs and just popping it at like the crucial times. Shout out those to Sgt. Pepper for that really the huge High Noon that that opened it up for Chrysalis. I think it was just really unfortunate that the next portions it just went in the favor of Koala Kings with how they're building up. But now we're in Mecha base and we're seeing your usual brawl from the side of Chrysalis with Koala Kings going for a ball comp with a Tracer Soldier as the DPS line and a Zen Brig for the support line to support this ball.
Yeah, certainly a different matchup. It looks like Koala Kings have done their homework. They know Chrysalis like to run Brawl. They've run it on both maps. They've run counter comps to what Chrysalis are running on both maps, and it's certainly worked for them here. And now we see Null on the flank. They already got the D-Mech onto the D.Va, so that's a lot of that sustain out. Not putting out insane damage again like he did on the Sombra. Does it again and gets the first pick on LeMay, but Sgt. Pepper also, the good hit scan DPS here, counterparting each other, getting kills, but not is just going insane, just rushing in head first with this soldier. Gets the double kill there onto Sgt. Pepper and Mr. Box, and he's just going to clean up now. Ty on that D.Va, yeah, just tidies up, gets those last few kills, tidy that fight up, and Noct is hard carrying Koala Kings today. This is insane.
Yeah, like a lot of that work was from not getting the high ground and playing well. But like you see swaps on the side of Chrysalis, Seth realizing that the Mei is not going to provide as much value for them, is going to play this Sombra, hoping to, shut down Rocket and make it harder for him to set up plays for Noct and for Zorthcon to get picks. And you see Chrysalis making this long rotate in order to close the distance to Koala Kings, but they're losing people in the process.
Yeah, Rocket getting the pick onto Seb, who had just swapped, as you said, to counter him, but it didn't matter. Null's just getting 3 Rain in the backline. They're just playing a game of Ring Around the Rosie here. They know this Brawl comp cannot catch up with them fast enough, especially with their Lucio down. And Mello gets picked off, but it's not going to be enough. They're already down enough players, and with Immo field invested early, Set, they don't have enough players to keep the engagement. It's still just ticking point percentage up for the Koala Kings, and Noct is still getting kills, and Sergeant Pepper finally takes him out, but it's too little too late, I fear, at this point, as he was the only one up for his team. So a reset from both teams, and with the speed that Koala Kings have, they should be set up and back into this fight before Chrysalis can take advantage of it.
We see Sergeant Pepper coming out here with a high noon, right? I think it's a great time to use that high noon to create that space, but I think Sep could help him out by hacking this D.Va so that he can get even more value from this high noon, right? But I think they're just opting to shield him and give him that immort. And it gets 2 people in the process, Zorthcon and Noct. That's a lot of the DPS power of this long hop down.
Yeah, a little bit over eager, staying on that kind of peak angle. They didn't have a lot to hide behind, and Bubba saw the kills come in, so he went super aggressive himself, straight in on TIE Fighter, gets the kill. And the rest of his team should just be tidying them up now, but Rocket is going to do his best to contest on point, not with Sep hacking him, though. CTW with a very good cleanup on the Baptiste there to get the kills, and Noct's now going to have to run away, make sure he doesn't stagger himself any further. Now, ults in favor of Chrysalis here for this next fight, Taya.
In favor of Chrysalis, definitely. And they should just be very hard aggressive with this EMP, right? They have so many ults upcoming, they might as well use one of it, considering that Koala Kings really only has this bomb, right, to create space for them. As this Brawl comp, they need to be the aggressors, especially in this core of Koala Kings that's setting up on the right. But now they lose Hanzuki quite early in this fight.
Yeah, Hanzuki looking to go for a little bit of a Reddit Lucio onto Noct, and Noct said, no, you don't. I will land nothing but headshots on you and melt you straight down. Zorthcon, in the meantime, on this Zen, the insane DPS support hero, gets set down as well, so that's 2 down. CTW trades for Mello, but it's not going to be enough as Null in the backline kills him as well, and now it's Null and TIE Fighter and Noct cleaning up kills. But Hanzuki came back and managed to get a boop onto TIE. It's still, this is like last fight territory, though. There needs to be a reset from Chrysalis, and there isn't going to be in time because Sep goes down. It's now just Bubba Wyatt trying to contest on point, and there's no one left. Noct's just going to be stood over the high ground on the soldier, just looking to pick off anyone that comes in. All beat off, that is good, but they get the bomb onto point. Is it going to be enough? There's just ults getting traded out here. This is last fight. Like we said, this is overtime. Chrysalis desperately need to win. They can't get that set, can't hack Rocket. I don't think they're going to be able to get back in time. And Sergeant Pepper dies mid-high noon. Let's see. Oh, great uncloak from Rocket. Just followed where Sep wanted to go there. Bubba still able to touch, though. It's a long, drawn-out fight. Let's see. Is D.Va going to be able to get back in time? They don't quite miss the box. Just a little bit off on the timing. And again, Koala Kings win the map, Taya.
Yeah. Very strong showing from Koala Kings, at least in understanding how they want their composition to be played, right? Understanding that their win condition for their 6-man is not getting those huge EMPs and building it very quickly, and how everyone else on Koala Kings helps them is by just staying alive. I think what people underestimate when we're playing the game of Overwatch is a lot of the game is just being able to stay alive, right? And get those crucial picks while still being able to stay alive. Yes, trades from one side of the team to another would be great or considered wins because it just drops to a 5v5, but wouldn't it be better if you managed to get that pick and still survive? But Chrysalis have shown that they at least understand how they want to play this brawl comp of theirs, which is they know how to stack together and play together to a certain extent. I think a lot of what I'm seeing that Chrysalis maybe just needs to work on a bit is that aggression. It feels like they're always at the back foot in all of these. They were up ults in that one mecha base fight, right? Building up towards 2 or 3 ults, and then they already had 2 online, Step TNT. And Step actually had a really good game. He got 3 people. He got the Core, the Fridge, the Zen, and the D.Va. So that no one else was with him to capitalize on it. And I think that would have been a winnable fight for Chrysalis. They could have probably taken it to the another round.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It looked like Sep didn't quite know initially where he wanted to hit that EMP with the very split comp that Koala King was running. But yeah, the counterplay just didn't quite match up. But we do have Hanzuki subbing back out. His Order going to be back in on the main support, I believe that is indeed, yes. So Order going to come back in. He was our player that lagged out, and yeah, we just we'll have to see what they can do on the next map. See if they kind of work this counterplay a little bit better, because it looked, as much as not played amazingly there, and the DPS did everything they needed to do. It looked like it was more of a compositional playstyle difference that allowed Koala Kings to win the way they did in a lot of those fights, rather than just a pure, skill gap. It was very much, especially that second map, watching Chrysalis desperately try and rush this ball comp, the core, and they're just playing ring around the rosy, just running away from them and getting, not getting hits in the time that they were doing that. It was an unfortunate set of rotations for me. But like I said, I never want to base a game off of how control maps go. I've seen a lot of teams roll someone on a control map and then get a reverse sweep on the next three, because it just plays so differently.
Yeah, I agree. One of my coaches on Cross Nova has pointed out that the way cost maps or control maps and cost maps are played is inherently very different from how you would play maps like Assault or maps like Payload and Hybrid, which really require you to traverse very open spaces. So you really have to understand rotations even better in maps like Payload and Hybrid. And in the case for Assault, it's just like knowing, okay, where are the potential chokes that people are going to come through? How are we going to defend this, or how are we going to attack this? It's very different from Koth, where things can get scrappy, and if you're someone who thrives in the scrappiness, Koth works for you. But now we're going to Temple of Anubis. This is the pick of Chrysalis coming in. So I'm interested to see what Chrysalis has in mind in bringing Koala Kings to Temple of Anubis, because I've also seen Koala Kings thrive very well in Temple of Anubis. So maybe both teams just seem to be doing well in Temple of Anubis, and Chrysalis just says, hey, maybe we just play to our strengths, even though it's the strength of the enemy team.
Yeah, if there's a map that you have a certain set in, regardless of how good your enemy is, to a certain extent, if you just know that's your strongest map, then you just, like you said, you got to just play to your strengths. There's no point trying to force something different that you're a little less comfortable on, just to possibly have your opponent be also a little less confident. Just play to your comfort, play to what works for yourselves, play to whatever makes your players feel most comfortable, especially at this elo. That is often the most important thing you can do, is just have people play what they're comfortable on.
And this seems to be the comfort pick of Koala Kings, who knocked on this Junkrat. He's done a lot of damage on this Junkrat in his other games, so I'm pretty sure he's going to try doing the same thing. And Chrysalis is going to try this TP strat, just going straight to point.
Yeah, they're definitely just going to try and force it again, but a huge anti, actually. Zorfcon lands a massive anti-nade on that into that team fight, gets immediate 2 picks for them. So Koala King's on top. That looks like it should be a clean first fight, and Not gets a trap kill onto Mr. Box's Baby Diva. I believe that was someone punched into his trap that he got a kill on. But yeah, a very quick, very clean first fight, and now Chrysalis need to try and reset. I wonder if they're going to go for the same spot again, because it looks like Zorfcon has that mark pretty well.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what collapsed Chrysalis right away for that was the first person who got picked out of that TP was CTW, so they had no back in the first place. And here's Knock with that tire, which he built so quickly, and it takes order, and that just collapses everyone else. It's back to the drawing board for Chrysalis. So,
yeah, and you were saying about Knock doing damage. He got his Rip Tire already, got a pick with it, and the rest of his team engaged off the back. I like seeing Null on this Echo as well. They're not afraid of a flyer. It seems like they're going for the double projectile DPS. They're just going to pump pure damage into this Chrysalis team and not let them try and walk anywhere near them. It is insane, and Rocket has their ult to engage the next fight.
Well, there's some compositional swaps on the side of Chrysalis. Sergeant Pepper going over to this Genji after the failed attempt from the May, but before they can even set him up, not just landing the throat and it picks up one of his right place. And that's all from the rival. So I'm trying to figure out right now, if I were Chrysalis, what am I going to do to make an opening? Because I have both support ults up, and you know, KK's just almost kind of like touching spawn doors to an extent. They've gone over the archway and have just been pushing in. So
Ult being used here though. We see Nano and a copy. They've got extra tanks out on the field and a nanoed monkey, but it didn't get them any kills. And in fact, if anything, Null overextended with it, and CTW got the kill. Then Sergeant Pepper killed Nock, but did die to the martyrdom in the meantime. Ty getting the pick onto Hanzuki with a bomb, and Bubba Wyatt then pinning Ty in the remake. And yeah, it's a scrappy fight, but Chrysalis actually on point. They do get antied now, and Null is back in the fight. So let's see if Null can get enough damage out with this immortality field. It does look like they're going to be able to kind of sustain, but he kills the tank, and now not coming back in with the bomb. Or the Riptire, sorry, gets Sergeant Pepper, so this should be a contestable point. They only gave up one tick this whole time, but Hanzuki's rotating high ground for a high noon. Let's see if he can get kills with it. He's going to get at least one, does get Mellow. The Ty tries his hardest, but can't quite eat all of that high noon, and now it's Hanzuki desperately with 2 HP trying to live, but Nock takes him down, and Ty takes out Hanzuki. So yeah, only one tick taken out. There was a lot of ults used there. Koala Kings used theirs early, but it is Chrysalis that still get forced out in the end.
I don't think Chrysalis realized how much of a carry Nock is for this team. Just for the sole reason that like that fight would have been winnable for Chrysalis if they had focused on Nock earlier, because he just survived through like all of that damage. And now there's a nano on Rocket by Zarzan, and oh, he gets shattered in the process by Bubba Wyatt.
Yeah, and in the entire time, Ty still hadn't remexed, so Sergeant Pepper was able to get a pick onto Ty there as well. So they're down the tank, and they're desperately trying to get knocked, but they can't quite kill him. Rocket just booping Sergeant Pepper around with that Primal Rage, able to knock him away, and should be able to now get the kill onto Order, but Nock steals it instead. But Bubba Wyatt's going aggressive here. They've got point. They look like they should be able to get a second tick here. Chrysalis, there were enough picks coming in, and Zorfcon gets to sleep under Mr. Box, does survive, but not for very long. CTW taking out the support counterpart, but as you said, Nock still getting kills even while dead. The trap gets a kill. It's overtime, it's scrappy, there's ults coming from everyone, and let's see how long Koala Kings can try and stall here as Null desperately trying to get the copy, gets the Beaver, doesn't get any kills, and Sergeant Pepper takes him down, but Nock's also using theirs, and that was a C9, everybody. Yep. Unfortunately, we have just seen it. That was a fight that was still very winnable from Chrysalis there, with picks going either way, but they stepped off the point.
I saw that step off the point. I feel like because KK were having people at like different angles, right? Just poking down on the point. It felt like Chrysalis was just trying to get, go into their own individual 1v1s to like try to pressure out either maybe the Ana, or maybe it was like the Diva on one side or the Echo on another. And you could see them struggling to at least like get those picks and win it out, that they kind of just forgot about the point, right? And I think that's something that's more on like communication, that hey, I'm going to, like, someone has to actively say, hey, I'm staying on point, this person's going to leave. And like if that person dies on point, someone has to say, hey, I'm dead, someone else has to be on point. And I think maybe that conversation really isn't happening for Chrysalis, and something maybe to work on for like the next few maps, or even for this map, because they're going to be running a double shield with a Ashe Soldier DPS line, and then on the side of Koala Kings, they're just going to run your standard dive with Null on his signature Pharah, with Mellow pocketing him, and Nafis on the Genji, probably hoping for that win condition of a Nano Blade from the Ana and the Genji, right? I doubt the Nano is going to be going on to Rocket. I'm pretty certain this is going to be going on to Nock more than Rocket, and Rocket's just going to be used as a I guess, a farming material for the Nano.
Yeah, he's the nano getter, and Noct is indeed probably planned to be the nano receiver. And we do see this first little poke engage, like you said, just trying to take some damage, allow the ults to build. That is their win condition. They don't even need to full cap first point to get the win, so they're just going to try and get these rotations and get these ults and stack in for that last fight. And yeah, they're just taking pushes. It's not going to be many picks. Like you said, this is slow poke engages. They got Null trying to get the far rotation. Obviously, does have to deal with a pocketed Ash shooting at him, so he can't take hard aggression. There is double hit scan. He will be able to get the pick though. Gets Hanzuki, went a little bit over aggressive on the soldier, and now the rest of his team can hard aggress with him. Can he kill the Ash? He does it indeed. So Null getting 2 early engaged picks. Gonna be able to get the res off, but it doesn't matter. Rocket Barrage going in from Null, a huge amount of damage on his far. A very good character in this elo. And then with not cleaning up kills and Rocket engaging off the back of the picks, it's Hanzuki now desperately trying to come back to point as the soldier on their own. I don't feel like they're going to be able to get a good contest in time for the rest of their team to get here. They might just die a little bit too quickly, and they do. And that's a very, very confident and comfortable map win again from Koala Kings. They are they're storming their way through this match today, Taya.
They are going to be stalling their way through this, and Unchanged. You know, we passed it together last time. What do you think? What are our chances for a 3R cast again?
I think we would need a lot more technical difficulties and player disconnects from both teams if we were to try and drag this one out to this length. But you never know, it could still be a reverse sweep from Chrysalis. They could, they could be, playing raccoon here, or playing possum, sorry, and just trying to pretend that they're not as good, and then they're just going to come out and storm Koala Kings. I'm hoping for it, at least. I hope they do put out a good showing. But yeah, that was some very good rotation from Null on the far, in particular, to get behind. Hanzuki got a little bit over eager to try and counter and to try and kill the pharmacy on the off angle on their own, and got picked. And once you see a pick with that dive comp that Koala Kings were running, they just hard aggressed, and they got the rest of that team. And then there was no way that they could kill Null. There's a pocketed far in the sky, and you can't focus on it enough because you've got 4 other people running straight at your face trying to kill you as well. And yeah, Null got play the game for it and just pumped in a huge amount of damage. And it's nice to see, because he came into this season being predominantly a hit scan player, so it's only throughout this season 8 of Trank that he's really been learning projectile heroes, and he's looking very comfortable on them already.
I'll have to correct you on that though, because he played for Fahrenheit 972 last season, and he was their dedicated Pharah player. So
he was. I've only known Jake as a hit scan. So
so like he has gone back to his Pharah roots by playing Pharah for Koala Kings, because he was their dedicated Pharah player in Fahrenheit. And I remember he said he wanted to play hit scan this season. That's why he started out as a hit scan for Koala Kings. It's just what we saw him on, and it seems like, they really like this Pharah and said, you're going back to Pharah jail. I see why it was such a smooth transition for him to go back to the hero. I remember playing a lot of games with him practicing his hit scan heroes, which is all I remembered. But it makes sense now why he transitioned so smoothly back into this kind of hero pool, why he's looked so kind of comfortable on the Echo and the Pharah in particular. So yeah, very good. I believe we will be going for our halftime break after that map, and we will be back shortly with It's Hybrid is the next set of maps. It may well be our final map, or we may, as we said, see a great resurgence from this Chrysalis team. They're in the cocoon at the moment. Let's see if they can blossom out into the butterflies that they're hoping to be.
Welcome back, everyone. We're about to be heading into map 3 of this match. It is currently 2-0 to Koala Kings against Chrysalis. Looks like our next map is going to be Eichenwald, one of the hybrid maps in the current map pool. Tends to be a go-to for a lot of teams, I feel. This is, this is a map that's played in most of the matches I've seen so far, and it's certainly a comfort pick for a lot of teams, so I'm not surprised that Chrysalis, as the loser of the last map, have chosen this to be where we go for our next map.
I honestly think the reason why so many teams end up going to Eichenwald is because it feels like a very mini King's Row, especially at like the start. I think the first point is very reminiscent of like King's Row. So for all those King's Row enjoyers, because King's Row isn't in the playoff map pool, thank goodness, because I honestly got tired of King's Row. I'm gonna get flamed for this, I know, right away. But like, hey, variety is great. I personally like the variety of this hybrid map pool, and we're here on Eichenwald. And for those who didn't realize that there have been swaps made on both sides. Step is coming in for Hanzuki on the side of Chrysalis, and on the side of Koala Kings, Rockcraft, someone we really haven't seen as often in like their games. Like I've personally seen their sheets. He's very on and off in like the presence or attendance for these matches. So seeing him right now is a big question mark for me on what he has to bring to the team compared to Mello. Like what are their subtle differences? Because each main support when they come in have their own nuances and what they're good at. So it would be interesting to see what Rockcraft has to offer. And coming out of the gate, Chrysalis is going to go with their standard brawl. We've seen them play this for most of the night. And on the side of Koala Kings, they're just going for this ball comp with Null on this very oppressive Para that, he's become to be known for in round 2 of Tranquility.
Yeah, it certainly looks strong. He's already getting a good amount of spam damage off, and Nox on this high ground, ready to jump in as a tracer from behind. And they will have to give up point presence. Obviously, Brawl does have a lot better kind of positional, they take ground very well. There's not much sustainability on a point for the ball comp, but that doesn't matter because all of that sustain's taken away. CTW goes down first, Nox gets the kill. The tracer was deadly in the backline indeed, and now gets another kill onto Order. Bubble White kills Rocket in the meantime, but that's main tank down. That's not a huge deal for this team, as both supports are already down for the brawl. They have, they have no way of sustaining this group comp, and Null's just gonna keep spamming damage into the room, I imagine.
Surprisingly, throughout all of that, Chrysalis did get a pick on point. Yeah. And I think the way Chrysalis maybe should be playing this is, probably do it tick by tick. Especially if you're running into something as hypermobile as this ball comp. And coming in, Sergeant Pepper has been building towards this high noon, and he's probably going to be using it on this Far Mercy duel, not unless Null pops this barrage, courtesy of Zorthcon giving him the nano to build towards it.
Yeah, he got to go very aggressive off the back of that, but CTW doing some nice work as the hit scan Baptiste takes him out in the meantime, but it's not enough. That was the only pick they got, so Rockcraft's just happily, as they'd already kind of won that fight, got the tick. But yeah, I agree with you. Chrysalis just need to try and rush the point here. They need to play for the ticks, play for the control of the point, because that's all they have in their favor. Like I said, Koala Kings don't have the point presence, but they do now have ults in their favors. TIE Fighter has to use theirs early just to try and get the remech, and have Sergeant Pepper coming in with that high noon, but goes very low. The Immortal comes out, and Null doesn't know that he was holding it, so that's a pick. Are they going to be able to let this res go off in time? They do indeed, so Rockcraft gets the res and just completely negates that ult from Sergeant Pepper, and now it's just this brawl for the fight. Can they keep contesting long enough while they keep baiting out these resources? They've got Null alive. He is pocketed. They get Order down. They get Set down as well. Knocked and Null doing a huge amount of damage. This is going to be the final kills. Yeah, they get CTW, get Mr. Box out of mech. They do clean it up. Mr. Box, they're going to try and stagger. Yeah, the Diva does get off map in time. Rockcraft's getting a cheeky kill on the Mercy in the meantime. But another, like you said, if they play tick by tick, that's another tick in favor of Chrysalis on this first point.
And they do have enough time for like minimum 1 fight, 2 fights, right? 2 fights if they go very quickly, right? And they do have that Blizzard. I don't think it's going to get much value unless they probably rush on to Zorthcon with it and pop it. And there's also going to be the Shatter. Nothing's going to block it, and Bubba Riot's just going to roll it through the tanks. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Ty desperately trying to eat it. You can see them trying to play. They know that the Mage's got it, but they got shattered. They got demech. They did, in the meantime, they got Sergeant Pepper. And now Null trying to get kills with his ult, but it's not enough, not quite enough damage, but it does get people low. And they did get the Immortality field out, and Rockcraft's going a little bit of battle mercy here. Unfortunately, they do lose Ty, and they do lose Rockcraft for going a little bit over aggressive. Mr. Box, the tank's trying to do their best, but not gets a stick. That's a big fight turner, getting the main tank down. Order desperately trying to live on point, but Rocket says no. It's just an anti-diva stuck on point with a nanoed Farah. Although Cassidy is back, they get the boot, doesn't land the stun, so can't get the kill onto Null. Sergeant Pepper 5 HP, desperately trying to get out, but there's not much time left. They do have to touch this point, and there is a minefield across half of it. A sleep lands. They're just going to try and melt this damage anti-ed in, and it looks like this should be a first point hold for the Koala Kings, and it is indeed. They gave up 2 ticks, nearly gave up that last tick as well, but they didn't allow a cap, so it gives them a very definitive win condition now coming into their attack phase.
Honestly, how I would see this, at least on the side for Koala Kings, what's likely going to happen is if Chrysalis is running their usual brawl comp and they plan to do it again on defense, honestly, I could see I could honestly just see Koala Kings pile up all the ultimates that they can and then just drop it on point, right? If they can build a lot of them as quickly as possible, because they just need to fully cap this point, right? Yeah, they gave 2 ticks. Those were crucial 2 ticks, but the fact that they didn't allow them to capture the point fully works in their favor. And, I'm interested to see how Chrysalis plans to hold this, because what made Koala Kings survive so long and hold that point for so long is, I guess, the mobility of its players to just move in and out of point, right? They didn't really need everyone on point at one moment. They just needed someone to touch it while everyone else was doing damage from an off angle. The off angles from Koala Kings onto specific targets were very deadly. And I think Chrysalis wasn't maybe respecting that, especially with the people who would go on, I guess, soft flanks and get, isolated out by Koala Kings. And coming into this, you're going to have you're still going to have the brawl comp from Chrysalis, with Seth opting for a Sombra, maybe to lessen the pressure from this ball. And on the case of Koala Kings, they're still running that same ball comp with Null on that Farah. And I'm pretty sure they're just going to have Zorthcon build to this nano and pop it on to Null. And, that's just going to seal the deal for them.
Yeah, they really just, they're looking to try and surround this brawl comp already. You can see knocked up on that high ground. But the rush now trying to get onto the Ana. Zorthcon under pressure is going to drop, not before Rocket does though. Actually, Zorthcon stays alive. Even with them rushing after, they managed to get Rocket, so Rocket peeled to try and help Zorthcon and ended up dying in the meantime. So a little reset, they're down their main tank. That is really primarily the person that's going to touch point and try and cap for Koala King. So a quick reset, and then coming into this next fight, Zorthcon gets a kill onto Sergeant Pepper. That's really bad for this brawl comp, being down a hero already and allowing the rotations. This also means that this Farah is pretty much free now, as long as they don't get hacked by Sep. So desperation moments maybe, but Bubba White gets a kill onto Rocket. Again, a little bit of over-aggression, but here is that nano that you were talking about earlier, Taya. Goes in onto Null, and they're just spamming damage in. The barrage is there, but doesn't get kills, but it does get a demech, and that is huge. Sergeant Pepper coming back gets a kill onto Zorthcon, but I fear it's not enough. As Nock gets a double kill with that stick. This should be enough now with the staggers coming in. Mr. Box, the baby diva, does die. That's enough, and that is GG's. That's it. That does it. That's a 3-map sweep for the Koala Kings. I fear Chrysalis just didn't have the right team comps in their pocket to deal with what Koala Kings have done. This proved why Koala Kings were as highly seeded as they were coming into this matchup, and yeah, looked like a very comfortable, very confident win for them with their players on their comfort heroes.
Definitely. They knew how to exploit what was strong for their ball comp with Null and Rockcraft was poking from a distance with that Power Mercy combo. Well, just building ult and also just Zorthon building that nano to just pop onto Null. And they knew their win conditions, right? And they played their composition with those win conditions in mind. And I don't think Chrysalis really had a clear idea on how to counter those win conditions, right? They knew they wanted to rush on the Ana. We saw them rush on to Zorthon, and Rocket did peel and die in the process to peel for Zorthon. And I think that was one of their stronger plays, actually, for that Eichenwald map. I will commend it to them. That was a smart play to do, to just rush towards the Ana. I just think afterwards they weren't sure on like how to play. I think a lot of people got caught out, like Sergeant Pepper was caught out alone and like just got dove on. And like when your Cassidy's gone, there's nothing else to pressure your Farm Mercy except for the D.Va. Your Cassidy is there really to help your D.Va pressure both the Farm Mercy and the Tracer.
Yeah, you like to. You normally have the D.Va pressure, and then the Cassidy is what kills them. But with the cast down, there's not really the damage. You're kind of forcing the Baptiste CTW to try and do all that damage, and they just didn't. They burnt through their resources. They got the good rotations. Zulfcon was landing some very big antis as well, and then just DPS ults coming out in favor. Like I said, it looked like Koala Kings were very well coached. It looked like I said, they knew what they were doing. They knew what win conditions were. They knew what they needed to play around and what they needed to play for, and they did it on every single map. Whether that was playing for Nox EMP on the first point of Busan, whether that was the rotation game on second point, everything they did seemed like they knew Chrysalis were primarily just going to be running this brawl comp, and they knew on each map what they need to do. Now they've only had a week to prepare for that realistically, but certainly looks like in their scrims they've done just that, because they look very, very well prepared to counter everything that Chrysalis even tried to throw at them today.
Well, that's it for like today's match. And who do you think would be player of the match for this match between Koala Kings and Chrysalis?
See, I know he's going to be mad at me because he's probably the only player from Koala Kings that actually knows me. So I unfortunately I'm not going to be able to give it to Jake or Null, as you were, because while he had some very good Pharah play, I feel like the Pharah was very easy into what he was playing against. Just the flex CPS getting big plays isn't always the actual best player. Not for that first map, that Busan in particular. Some amazing EMP builds, some amazing soldier play, but for consistency throughout the entire match, for me personally, it's got to be Zorthcon. They did really well on the Zen. They were building Nano really fast on the Ana. They landed some huge nades. So personally, maybe a little bit biased as a flex support player, maybe in that case, but in my opinion, Zorthcon was the player of the match for the Koala Kings here today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that take of yours, right? Like we see the DPS pop off so cleanly, and they light up the kill feed, but honestly, like they wouldn't be getting that far if Zorthcon really wasn't pumping in, getting that nano, setting up the plays for them. And I do agree with that decision. We really need to appreciate our supports, guys. Like our supports get us really far in this game. So do we have anything else for tonight? I know we have like a couple of matches for this week. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be seeing Apollo versus I remember it's Apollo versus
Thunderbolt Rewind.
Thunderbolt Rewind, right? Yeah, they will be
an interesting match personally. Yeah. Thunderbolt, I obviously I know a little bit more about the EU bracket, being one of the EU GMs, but Thunderbolt Rewind have been an inconsistent team in the first few stages, but they've kind of locked down their roster in terms of who's playing what for this playoff bracket, and they won their first couple games, quite convincingly, quite comfortably. They looked very strong, so it'll be an interesting match. Apollo looking a little bit shaky against Venice Vipers in that loss, so it will certainly be an interesting matchup, and it's going to be very tough for these teams. Apollo were favored to just kind of roll that upper bracket and make it quite cleanly into the championship stage and face off against just whoever met them, and they were just expected to go about their business and do their job. So yeah, that'll be an interesting match. I see you casting that again with Bowser, so it will be a very fun match. I will certainly be watching that when I can. And then Oath versus Oreo Fleet, that should be an interesting match. I know Oath have been quite a strong team, but Oreo Fleet are kind of a fan favorite, so to speak. They have that adorable logo that everyone's in love with.
Oh, Yeah, I think everyone just loves everyone supports the team because the logo is just super adorable. It's honestly also one of the reasons why I was supporting Hellhounds
Yeah.
for a while, because like they had such a cute logo.
Same there. I had them doing
Cute
well in my
logos
bracket.
sell, people. Cute logos sell.
And then we have Poseidon versus Redacted being our last match for this week. So yeah, a very action-packed playoff week again here in Tranquility, and me and Thea will be working some more casts this week, so we will look forward to seeing you again. But for today, that is it. That is a comfortable Koala Kings victory. They move on into the next stage. They continue their run, or they start their run of this lower bracket here after being knocked down. But it was a pleasure to cast for you all today. Apologies for any scuff as we tried to work our way through some new technical advancements here at Tranquility. We're trying to up the broadcast quality for you guys, and there is a little bit of stuff that happens in the meantime. But a big thank you for everyone in production, and a big thank you for sticking with us. It was a pleasure to cast for you tonight. It was a pleasure to cast with you there, and we hope to see you again in the future. Goodbye.